Okay, this is a video that I'm making particularly to talk about how to use Microsoft Word. Now, what I have on the screen here is 13. I'm going to pause every once in a while and make comments about how you do the same thing with 2010 or 2007 or 3. So that said, let me initially just show you a technique that's not necessarily a big Microsoft thing, but it is something that I think is important in terms of your grammar. Let's say you're going to use a hyphen to set off a phrase of some kind. Like, for instance, if I write fireproof with a hyphen in between, that means whatever it is resists fire. It's fireproof. Now, there's another way to type it, and that is if I were to put fire and I wanted to say the beginning of a section, I would use a dash. The way you do a dash in Microsoft Word is you put two hyphens, no spaces on either side, and then when you write the word and put a space after it, it converts that hyphen, those two hyphens, into a dash. That's what you really want when you want to set off a phrase or a section that you've just headed, like that. So in this case, the phrase says fire, proof of its destructive power. If I just put a single hyphen between it, it says fireproof. So don't do this. That says fireproof. And then the phrase makes no sense. Okay, that done, let's just look at some ways to handle things in Microsoft Word. First off, the most simple thing that you always want to know first is how to erase a mistake. So if you click this little thing up here in the corner, or you just do a Control Z, the last thing you did is erased. And then as you continue to do the Control Z, it removes whatever was before that. If you want to make it appear, you can do a Control Y, or you can click the other direction arrow in the top corner. Now, next thing I want to talk about is viewing and removing the ribbon. That's pretty fundamental. If you hover over the ribbon on a selection area, let's say I click Home, then it's going to appear. Whatever I click on and choose, it's going to make happen, and I click off of it and it'll disappear. If I want the ribbon to stay there, then what I would do is once it appears, come over here and click the corner where it says Pin. It has a little pin picture. I click that pin and it'll stay there even when I click off of it. So I'm going to leave the ribbon up there the whole time so that you can see what I'm doing. But you have the option to put it there or not. First thing I want to talk about is blocking. Blocking is where you would take a section of text and you want to do only something to that one section. I can do this by click and drag. Put my cursor at the beginning of whatever I want, click it, and then drag over that amount of text, and that's what is blocked. So if I want to underline that section or whatever, then it'll allow me to do it. Let's say I wanted to block an area that was bigger than my screen, and if I were to try to just do it like this, it might scroll too fast for me, and I'd have a hard time getting to it. So instead, I'm going to place my cursor at the beginning of it, click, and now I'm going to scroll down to where I want it to include, and this time I will do Shift click, and it has blocked the entire section that I want. So now you can see that it's a bigger area. Something else I might want to do is do something that affects the entire document. I can do Control A. I would do that if I wanted to set some parameters for my document. Let's suppose I just had a single word I wanted to replace. I can double click on it and I get the word. If I triple click, it takes the whole paragraph. I might want to do this, for instance, if I was doing an abstract and I wanted the whole abstract to be italics and nothing else in the text to be italics. Another reason for doing that is if perhaps I want to do a word count. So I could come up here to word count 2010 and 2013. I'd look under review, and then I have the option of word count. Click it once, tells me everything I want to know about that paragraph. Like, for instance, if you're told you have to have an abstract of less than 150 words, this is how you check. If I want to do the whole document, I do the Control A and do a word count for the document. Now for 2007, the way you do this is you go to the bar, up to the toolbar, and on it you have an option called Tools, and then under Tools you'll find word count. Okay, let's talk about moving text around. Let's say I wanted to move this paragraph to a different place. I would hold down my mouse key and then drag it to wherever I wanted it to go, and the paragraph would be moved to that section. If I wanted to rearrange my sentences, I could do the same thing. Click on a sentence, drag it to be in a different place in the paragraph, and it will be moved for me. Now suppose I wanted to move it to someplace on a different page and I didn't want to drag it that far. I could left click, copy, scroll to the new page where I wanted it to go, left click and paste. Now suppose I had a very large document and I wanted to place it far away on the document, 10 pages away or something, or I wanted to compare it to a place that's 10 pages away. If I were in Microsoft 2007 to 10, I would come up here to this corner, and just under that arrow would be a little bar, and I could click on that bar and then drag it to where I want it. But since I'm in 2013, I will have to go to View, Split Screen, and a bar appears which I can now move, and I can move that bar anywhere I want to on the screen to expose as much as I want to or not. If I click on the top half now, then I can scroll the top half without scrolling the bottom half. Let's say I wanted to check on moving this paragraph to the lower section. I'm going to click on the bottom section. Now I can scroll to the second page. I can compare what's said on the second page to what's said on the first page. If I want to move this paragraph, I can move it to the second page like that by simply dragging it. To get rid of that bar, I can go up here and I can again click the Remove Split, or I can drag the split to either end of the screen, which will then leave me on the other half of the screen that remains. One more important aspect is setting your font. Click on Home or your main button in the corner, whichever it is for you. Under Font, I can set the font for whatever type I want to, and you know that I wanted it Arial 12. You can also make paragraph adjustments here. So let's say I want to only affect this paragraph. I can go in here and set paragraph information about it. If I want to make that particular paragraph different spacing than the rest of it. I've seen students try to make double spacing by going to the end of the line and pressing enter. This is really an unfortunate technique to use, because then if you come back and you want to change anything, let's say I want to add a couple of words in here, well, what happens is my spacing is messed up because this end remains the end because there is a character there that says return. Okay, so let's get out of this mess. What you need to do is go into paragraph, first section, and put in how many lines you want. Double space, single space, whatever, and then it'll do it that way. Again, you can do the whole paper, you can do a single paragraph, whatever. Another important aspect is suppose you want to end the page on a certain place. Let's say I want this to be the end of the page right here. I've seen many students simply put enters in there in order to move it to the next page. Well, that's no good, because what if you were to remove this paragraph up here? Then you have this funny looking space, and it doesn't any longer begin a new page. It just has a funny space in there. So what you need to do is put your cursor at the beginning of the point that you want the new page to start. Click your key on that, then do a Control Enter. Then you haven't simply placed an enter, you have placed a new page enter. Now, no matter how much typing I do on this page and how many new paragraphs I add to it, it's going to cause the next page to always begin on a new page. See, it just took me to a new page from that one without putting me onto the page of the previous one. It still remains a new page. That's what you would do, like for instance, for your abstract, your references, things like that that need to begin on a new page. Something else that sometimes happens is you have text. You end up with a single line on your page. at the bottom or a single line on your page at the top. Either way is not good. It looks like it's a header when it's not a header. So what you want to do to prevent that from happening is you do your whole text this way. You Control All, you go into your home base, go to paragraph, be sure that this little box is checked, widow-orphan. If it's got that check mark, it will prevent one line from being left at the bottom of a page or one line from being left at the top of the page, as long as the paragraph has more than one line to it. Okay, let's suppose you have a header of some type. It's going to be a header, and it's a single paragraph all to itself. So let's say that the typing occurs such that it is just before turning to the next page. And that being the case, it's not with the text that it refers to. And as a result, it looks like a footer or something funny, and it needs to be put with those text. So what you do is you click on that line. You go into Home, Paragraph, and where it says Keep with Next, check mark there, OK. Then no matter even if it is a paragraph all to itself, it will be moved to be with whatever is on the next page, and it will not be left behind. Okay, that's it for the introductory stuff. I hope you found that useful, and I'll see you in class.